I remember each of you's what's it called though?
She's Denike Ugo Dre.
At Nairametrics and
No.
who?
No.
Okay,
Same
studio, here we
names.
go. And Lagos, you're welcome inside Freshly Pressed here for a Thursday. And hey, what can I say? Let's get it on before the weekend. Thursday, after all, is the new Friday. It's the way I like to say it. But we've got very interesting stories here for you, Lagos, and would like you guys to be a part of it. Do remember now 0809 444 0981 is where to send in WhatsApp messages. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, you can also comment on Twitter. We are at Smooth91FM. Use the hashtag FreshlyPressed981. We're not alone in the studio, I and Ayo. We have with us here Mr. Ugo Dre, fresh off of Business Express. Ugo Dre, you're welcome.
Morning, sir.
That's at Ugo Dre on social media. Yeah, I got that right.
Yep.
And of course, we have Adenike in the studio as well. Nika, you're welcome.
Good morning,
And I
everyone.
can't remember your one.
Adenike Oyetunde.
Yes.
Adenike Oyetunde. Yes, thank you very much. So let's get started, Ayo, shall we?
Yes, we shall. All right, our first story here is one that when we read it out earlier today, we was like, oh my goodness, really? But Adenike, you have this one. Lagos State Government plans inquiry into trailer accidents, suspects sabotage. That's the part where we, got us what our eyebrows raised from Punch newspaper. There's a detailed report in The Guardian with regards to how the plight of commuters in Lagos State and Ogun State in the past few days due to trailer breakdown. And I mean, some of our producer, shown intern bill to testify.
I witnessed one on Monday as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So people have complained a lot. Well, the Lagos State government is saying that they want to investigate as they don't ascertain if the accidents were not deliberate acts of carnage. Can you please take us to this?
Okay, so before I read this, as a resident of Lagos, I remember that sometime last year or 2 years ago, there was this massive explosion that happened on the Otedola Bridge.
Yes.
And I got talking with a friend, and from that accident up until now that I know, there have been several other incidences that have occurred from that in that particular axis. And subconsciously, I did ask that what exactly is going on. Well, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, has said that the state was concerned about the upsurge in accidents on the expressways in the last 3 months. And he said, and I'm quoting him, the government is also curious about the persistence of tanker accidents at the Berger area of Lagos Ibadan Expressway and the resultant gridlock that trails the incident, spiraling through the entire Ikeja area of the state and traumatizing motorists and commuters. He said the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency has been mandated to continue to support the Ogun State counterpart and the federal government in traffic and emergency management by providing evacuation expertise and equipment for quick removal of vehicles involved in crashes. Now, what's interesting to me is we know that they're setting up a panel of inquiry into the frequent accidents involving the trailers and the trucks in the state. And I am particular about it because I was hoping that the commissioner would have told us, that the panel will sit in a specified period of time and then the findings will be out. But since it's in the pages of the dailies, I'm also optimistic that whatever their findings are, especially since there's some element of sabotage of some sort, or according to them,
Suspected.
According to them, they would also make the findings public so that everybody would understand. Because sometimes you sit down, you wonder and ask yourself, why do I feel like certain things are happening? Because certain people are trying to frustrate certain. So it's still up in the air. And because we're uncertain, I'm looking for, the result of these findings. But until then, I can only say that if for any reason you find yourself in a gridlock, you're not sure, and you see people try to find out what the cause is. Do not just start running. Because I remember the one that occurred 2 years ago at the Otedola Bridge. The stories from people actually rather sat in their cars and were burnt in their cars in comparison to running. So it's a thin line between I don't want to panic run and I just want to stay in peace.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may have to just come down from your car and try to say, okay, what's going on out there? But they say evacuation is supposed to happen. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Okay, so a few things around this in the interim whilst they're investigating. One is response time. I know you touched on this, but I don't know if Lagosians and commuters in general are satisfied with the level of response or the rate of response in terms of timing. And then also if you are say it's a possible deliberate act of carnage. I don't know, why would someone want to why would they
why?
choose that
Because
line of planning?
human beings are very interesting people. And we have seen it not just in Nigeria, we've seen it across the world where people find out all these things, and you realize that because a group of people are no longer benefiting from whatever it is, they would go over and above. The reality about it is, you'll always ask the question that what is the value of a single Nigerian life? Because we cannot monetize it, we cannot say exactly this is what a Nigerian life equates. People do not value every life that they see. So I will not be surprised, and I'm saying it here, I will not be surprised if genuinely, a constructive and objective finding is done, and we realize that this is actually an act of sabotage.
Well, while they're investigating sabotage, how about also perhaps maybe investigate or just take statistics on what the previous causes have been, and
what
perhaps
is
maybe
causing it? The
if it's
trucks are old, the
exactly,
roads,
yeah,
all of that. Yeah.
that would have that would seem to be a much more
That's why it's findings. They are going to do their
Okay.
findings. So
Alright. Thank you very much. Dakolua on Twitter says that Adenike, the solution to these plenty accidents is to ban trailers. Have you noticed so?
There is a ban. That's another thing. They're not supposed to operate at certain times of the day, but they're still out there.
our reactive response to everything is ban,
ban,
and it is
ban.
very destructive and unproductive. Reality is we do not have rails, we do not have water to transport a lot of these things that these trailers do. So in the meantime, would you rather just continue to ban them and people continue to suffer?
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to our next one here. Ugo Dre, Customs uncovers new methods of smuggling rice. I'd allow you to tell us some of the methods that have been identified, despite
very smuggling.
no, according to the story.
Denike got jokes.
So, as despite the closure of the land borders and despite the successes recorded by government agencies as they've announced, we see that there's still ways that people have devised to smuggle in rice. Please share.
Well, according to the story, ingenious Nigerians, right? Smuggle rice by one. Some of them, put rice into caskets. Caskets where you should expect to see dead bodies, and they put rice into those caskets and into gas cylinders. I don't even know how that works. Like,
They
how do you-
open it?
I don't know. Like, you got to just juba for them. Like, they put rice into gas cylinders, and then this one too. Some also put rice into perforated tires. Right, so you just
See that one in American film.
put it into perforated tires, and then here they also load petrol in jerry cans and put it inside a casket. So so and then the customs say, look, think about it. How do we stop things like this? Because you have vehicles going on and you see a dead body, you see a casket, you expect a dead body, you don't want to open it. I mean, like, you want to respect it and all that. And then whereas, what you have there is smuggled rice. So it usually is when they get tip-offs that, then they now tend to open it. And some people might look at this story and say, I beg now, excuse Jerry, how these things get smuggled, and it's just an excuse to, for you to, allow smuggled rice to get into the country. But the bottom line here, Ayo, is this is what happens when you start to ban, and not actually address, the root cause of issues. And like someone once said, banning and things like this actually creates an industry on its own. Not there's an industry, there's a dark industry, right? And then there's an industry for law enforcement as well, because then you have to employ more policemen, you have to employ more detectives and what have you. So in the 20s it was bootlegging, and then Americans got that and just legalized alcohol, and now it's marijuana since then, and now some countries are beginning to legalize these things and whatever. So and I think that the world has just got to go around managing illicit, drugs or things that are contraband. But for rice is something people consume, so it's not like banning it, and it just doesn't really work, especially when you have very porous borders and suspected. Let me just use that word: suspected corrupt, officials at our borders. So if you continue to ban, I mean, like, people would always bring them.
But there is incentive. Apparently, they're making profit, and what's the margin of profit they're making these smugglers? Is the question that it's enough for them to actually risk maybe even jail time with
The
different
profit is
methods.
humongous, and
Well,
there's a huge demand here for that
yeah.
kind of rice. And you see, that's what I'm saying. When the market fundamentals are really bad, because for Nigerians here who make locally produced rice, can't even meet local demand. And it's not that the rice is that good. It's getting better, but it's not there. So you'd always want to get imported rice. So if you see imported rice in Nigeria, you go for it. So the demand is there, and it's not like it kills anyone. It's not harmful. Right, so the margin is huge. These guys make a lot of money, and mind you, like I said, it's an industry, not just for those who smuggle it, for even those law enforcement people themselves. So you always have bad cops, isn't it? Yeah. So when you bring things like this in, so there's enough for everybody, you know.
Thank you very much.
to make money from.
Like you mentioned, very key point. The bottom line is if you don't deal with the issue, the root cause, you can ban all you want, but people will always find ways to bring them in.
Yeah.
People could compete bravely. It would not be a question. Thank you.
Pause here saying on our WhatsApp line, didn't get cracking me up this morning. Vic says there's nothing we won't see with this foreign rice curse that we have. And Prince says it is not possible to restrict truck movements tonight because port operations is 24 hours all over the world. Restricting will cause port congestion.
As we see today, Sean says sabotage, really. The government is sabotaging itself. There's restriction of movement for those trailers to keep them moving only at night, no enforcement. Is there inspection of the vehicles before they leave loading locations, predominantly the ports? The VIO FRSC guys are so eager to go after newer private vehicles that largely look immaculate, while old and obviously dilapidated trucks smoking to the high heavens and leaning dangerously rolled by the government is sabotage. Moving on, we go on to this one. Council differs with Ganduje on banning street begging. Now, yesterday at Adenike, we went through a story that talked about the fact that the governor of Kano State has said that he's banning street begging with jail term for anyone found on the street as well as their parents. In this story, even though the headline seems to think that the council, and the council I'm talking about here is the Kano State Council of Ulama, the chairman speaking on their behalf, it would seem as if they don't agree with that. They do agree with street begging. The only thing they don't agree with is the method that the Kano State has adopted so far. Please share with us the details of the story.
Okay, so for starters, they both agree on the ban for street begging, but the methodology is what the council is vehemently not in support with the state governor. So, the chairman, like you mentioned, has said that the government lacks the political will to tackle or address the menace of street begging. And he said that the government is not serious and cannot do it because it has not taken the right steps. And it's very interesting that he talked about this because, again, instead of just going to banning, he's telling the government how it's necessary to emphatically look at the reasons why the numbers of street beggars has continued to rise. Now, he said that, he talked about identifying the Quranic clerics that are involved in street banning and begging because there are street beggars who are Quranic students. He also said that parents actually send their children from rural areas to come beg in the urban areas. And there is also street begging by people, physically challenged individuals. Now, when he was talking, he mentioned that the Kano State government cannot successfully ban street begging if she wants to do it by herself, because she has to collaborate with the neighboring states. And it's very necessary, not just collaborating on paper, but they have to sit down and tackle the issues from the grassroots. We know that one of the reasons is education, poverty, and the reason some people is just greed. I remember a few years ago, there was a newspaper article I will never forget, that Maryland traffic light area, before it was this modernized. There was a man there who had been begging for such a long time, and the newspaper reporter actually interviewed him. The guy from that particular position had successfully built 2 houses in his hometown.
Of course.
Yeah. And that was the first time my eyes actually opened, to how thriving it is. And then you realize that people actually bring people from out of state to beg.
Send
it is
their
an
children
industry.
actually to other
Exactly.
states.
So the chairman is speaking very, very, soundly and rightly, if I may say, because it's just haphazard for you to stand up and say, again, we are banning street begging. So how long would you enforce that thing for? When you ban street begging, what does that translate to? Does it translate to robbery? Does it translate to armed robbery? Does it translate to different vices in the society? He gave an instance. He said there's a family whose parents sent the children, a man actually sent his children begging because he was about to marry a new wife.
Mm.
So he wanted to put his new wife in the room where his children were sleeping. So imagine that these are people who have children. And just last week, was it not the Emir and Kanu saying that you need to look at the number of children? It's still a very sensitive subject matter in Nigeria.
Yeah.
In a place where we don't talk about number, everybody wants 4 children. God provides with every child that comes. But the reality is Nigeria has overshot her population. And if the Emir of Kano is talking about it, then it means that more people have to look at, people are having children they can't care for. So have you noticed in Lagos? Have you noticed in the Lekki axis? Have you?
Yes.
They just come like a swarm of bees. There is nothing you can do again. Before you used to say, now you just maintain your champion because you're scared. You don't know what can happen.
They're also increasing in number just by
the beach.
Adeola
Yes.
as well. Between Adeola Deko and Akadeshala traffic lights, it's become a menace. And Oyeko Mita agrees with this.
Oyekimi says, I hope Lagos would roll the line toe the line of Kano states to stop begging in Lagos because the beggars are growing in at a geometric rate in Lagos and causing nuisance on the streets in Lagos, Taiwo says.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our next one here, and that is on Boko Haram. Nigeria soldier goes berserk, shoots 4 officers dead, kills self. I'll allow you to give us the details of this story, Ugo, and also particularly the line which I read. That was what just jumped at me, and it was raised here about the adequate or lack of it of mental and psychological treatment for our soldiers fighting Boko Haram. Please take us through the story.
Very, very sad story. According to Premium Times, this happened, in Borno State. The soldier serving in Borno State opened fire on 4 of his colleagues, killing them in the process. And then, of course, he shot himself dead. Interesting thing is this is not the first time this is happening. I mean, like from what I can see here, it's there's been 4 related cases in the last 2 years or so. First in 2018, soldier committed suicide after killing his colleague. That same year as well, another soldier again killed a colleague, injuring others, and then of course put the gun in his mouth and then just blew his head off. Right, the kind of things you see in movies actually happens here in Nigeria. In 2017, again, a soldier in deployment in the northeast opened fire on his captain, killing him, and then, of course, himself again. And then in June of that same year, in 2017, another soldier, committed suicide. So, I mean, bottom line, a lot of these guys have mental health issues, and nobody knows, clearly how, well the Nigerian army is treating these mental care issues. It's not unique to Nigerian soldiers. These things happen, across the world. So that is why most countries where you have, soldiers, they tend to treat them not just, in active Medicare, even after active service, they also give them Medicare. One of the common diseases they face is post-traumatic stress syndrome. And this thing, it's. I have a friend who has a hospital in the US and treats soldiers all the time. And the kind of stories I hear is just crazy. These guys have nightmares. They sleep at night, and a lot of these soldiers are very young. So imagine a young soldier come back from war at 25, 26, and then you now left the army, and then you have to deal with these things for the rest of your lives. So some of them can't raise families. Even when they raise families, they wake up in the middle of the night, they're crying, and the kind of things that they've seen. So not everybody's built for that mental toughness, and for a lot of these soldiers as well, this is around frustration. When you start to turn on your own people, not that it's terrorism, you're just turning on your own people. That's a lot of mental.
Now, with that underlying query that you have there, mental health, the sanity of the average Nigerian soldier, do we have facilities or personnel in place in the Nigerian army? Is another question we have to ask, whether this is an important bit that they're actually taking cognizance of and attending to. In other countries, you'd find that even during war, during their tour, they have visits to the psychologist. Do we have that here in Nigeria with the low pay or the frustrations that they have to go through while they're doing their job on the front line? This is necessary, it would seem.
Yeah, there are a lot of military hospitals across the country, and I know that in the past, military hospitals used to be one of the best places to go for free Medicare. But just like everything in Nigeria, funding in these places have been terrible, hasn't been coming on. So, and these guys got to pay, they have to retain doctors, pay them good money. They have to continue to, expand, invest in equipment. And if we, as we face budgetary constraints in this country and corruption as well, you won't see funds going into the kind of Medicare that our soldiers need to have. So, it's difficult for me to, I don't know whether things have improved or not. But, if you just go to look at the military hospital in Ikoyi. I mean, I remember going there as a kid and having one of the best Medicare. But today, it's if you go there now, it's a shadow of what it used to be several years ago. And this is the military hospital in Ikoyi, right? So you can wonder the ones in the northeast what they're like. So it's a huge problem, and if you don't contain this, God forbid, these guys can just go beyond killing on their own soldiers and then turn on civilians and all, because it's just all sorts of mental frustration.
Very quickly, if you want to understand a pictorial depiction of what it means, I remember American Sniper, Bradley Cooper. That's a movie you should see, and especially because it's an adaptation from a real life experience. It puts into clear perspective what PTSD actually shows.
And Emeka from Amon says that security outfits show zero concern as regards mental health of members. I've met a mobile police officer on special duty in the northeast who was in tears that he hadn't seen his family in over a year. Why wouldn't someone like this commit suicide or shoot his fellow colleagues?
While we're still on Boko Haram or the state of security in Nigeria issues with our soldiers, let's take a look at this headline here from the Punch newspaper. Terrorists attack Chibok again, abduct civilian JTF leader. Apparently, they attacked during the early morning, raided the town, which had already just been raided a week ago. They abducted the Joint Task Force leader. It goes on to tell details of how they attacked people that they also abducted alongside him. This coming at a time where the topic on our lips is about the service chiefs and the inactivity, rather, of the service chiefs. That's the conversation we're still having. Danica, this is your story.
Okay, so I'll start from the service chief part, because the Kiribaku Community Development Association spokesperson, Dr. Alan Manasseh, has stated categorically that it's just been one story after the other, that there's been really no war won against insurgency in that part of town. And I'm quoting him. He says even President Buhari knows that the military are lying, and all the service chiefs know that they are lying. From where are the insurgents coming to attack Chibok villages? How many times have they attacked this place? 3 times since December. So even if they are not occupying any territory, why are they still carrying out attacks unchallenged? These are the questions we want the media to keep hammering. And for me, I've read one too many books about the abduction in 2014 abduction of the Chibok girls, and you would have thought that would have ended. But it's been one attack after the other, at least minimum in a year. It's been 6 years now that attack, almost 6 years that attack occurred, and nothing much has been done. I really want to see and believe the government and the service chiefs and the military personnel when they come on the pages of newspaper or they have their press briefing and they're saying that, oh, we have defeated terror insurgency. There was a time is completely defeated, not defeated. Partially, thank you. Reality is these places have not been fully taken over back by the original inhabitants. People are still in the IDP camps. So if they're still in the IDP camps, it still means that their homes are still being occupied or it's not safe. So we have underfunding of this military personnel. We just, the story we talked about mental health right now just also puts in better perspective. Who are we sending to protect these people? We don't have enough people to protect them. So really, if we need help, how difficult is it for us to ask for help? Nigeria has, well, in time past, we had supported African countries when they had insurgency issues.
That was noble. That was beautiful.
Exactly. So if it is now our time to ask for help, I don't think people who would have supported in times past would have found it very difficult to send help to us. So this is really, really sad that the JTF leader has been abducted and other people, but let's see where that leads.
Thank you.
All right, we have a message here. Let's see, Patrick from Aja.
Yes, says, good morning, guys. These soldiers are trained to kill, so it makes sense to have a proper mental health to have proper mental health checks by servicemen, especially the soldiers on the war front. PTSD is real.
It is a real thing.
Yeah,
Let's move on now to the Guardian newspaper, and finally, I think we can let's ease off some of the stress that we've been talking about, the doom and gloom from earlier series. Let's talk about this one here. It's rather I don't know what to say, but this is your story, Ugo Dre. Mago insists coronavirus is caused by corruption in new video. The EFCC had come out a week after he had made that announcement during the speech that no, that's not what he meant. But now he's coming back in his video saying, no, excuse me, who sent you? That is what I meant. So your story, please.
Yeah, I think this can pass for a feel good story. Though.
It is indeed.
Right. So the ever charismatic Mago, I think he's coming back. He's saying this on the back of two major wins this year. I think was it Ojuzokalo and then
Yes.
and then the
So he's earned it then.
Yeah. So but to put it into context, ignore the headline. The story initially, I think, was from the cable, and they say he actually, was at the function where you had President Buhari, and then he said that coronavirus was caused by corruption. And of course, the EFCC tried to cover it up. And I know he didn't say that too, and then but the guy doubled down and said, "I said it. Hello."
What are you going to
Yeah. But
do?
what he did say was that, he was going on with that conspiracy theory that coronavirus was basically engineered by the Chinese in a lab, and which a lot of people have been also referencing one book that was done in the 80s. I forgot who wrote that book. Something like that. And so he's saying that the fact that that virus was created in the lab shows that whoever did it had a corrupt mind, and I think he seemed to like that word corruption. You know what I mean? So he seems to put everything around and corruption. That's how this. So it's not that it's the corruption that you and I probably.
So what you mean is Nigerian corruption has a different.
Nigerian corruption is still it down, you know what I mean? But here is that look, this is somebody who just had a corrupt mind and put in lab. But you gotta be very careful. You can't have government officials making statements like this, and you're basically feeding into conspiracy theories, and it doesn't really help at all. The World Health Organization has not come out to say that this was created by someone in the lab. Even countries like the US haven't come out to say that. So you just can't. This is not a joke.
Because if he as an authority actually has a position and puts it out there, then that means you're asking people to actually believe it.
Exactly. And he's a law enforcement guy.
Yeah,
so
when that happens, people begin to their views or perception of other people, maybe even Chinese people, begins to get colored.
Exactly.
So you don't want
that.
Yeah,
this is not the kind of thing you expect from someone like Mago.
Okay. I don't know. Do we take messages real quick, or do we just touch this story? Finally,
I can do it next time.
Daily Times newspaper: tourism to generate more revenue than oil. This was said by Lai Mohammed. Finally, I don't know whether to say finally because this has been. It's been on everybody's mind. We have so many of these places that we could use to advantage here in Nigeria, but it would seem the tourism has not been something that we have actually absolutely invested in. Now this is your story.
Nothing strange here. So I'll do this quickly. Everybody knows that tourism is huge in some countries. Just go to Ghana here. Tourism is very huge for that economy. So Cotonou and all that, very, very huge for this country. So for Nigeria, and it's a no-brainer. But do you want to have tourism in Nigeria with the state of infrastructure that we have? Just look at our beaches. Let's go from Badicha all the way down. You see, we have lovely coastline, but you don't have any major hotels.
Whose responsibility is it?
Of course, it's the government. You have to create an enabling environment, for you to attract, tourists into the country.
What about the people and the orientation of the people? I'll give you an example. This is what I mean. If you've ever visited Idari Hills, now the people take care of this place, but it's just out there in the open. Anybody can walk in and take anything as an artifact. This week we got returned to us by the Brazilian government, I think, an artifact from Ileife, and I'm worried. I'm part of the people who are worried about how these things that have been taken care of outside the country are going to fare when they get inside of the country. Do we have the infrastructure or the personnel to actually keep and maintain them, curate them all? That's my fear. It's not that I don't want them to get returned to the country, but can we take care of them?
Yes, you see, like I said, if the government provides enabling law that can allow tourism to first enter this country, it will work. The same kind of seriousness you put around oil and gas, and you have all those PIB and all those create something similar for tourism, and you see investments coming. And when investments come in, you can start to protect our artifacts and a lot of the things that historical stuff that you want to keep here or that you want to have tourists come and see. Tourism is a huge business, but if you don't create the enabling environment, you're not going to make any money out of it.
Right.
Thank you very much, Ugo, and thanks to everyone who sent in comments. We see them. Unfortunately, we can't go through all of them, but join us at 9 o'clock where we have Lagos Talks 901, and we have the opportunity to discuss in detail one of our stories. Thank you, Adenike. Adenike is at Adenike Oyetunde, Ugo Dre at Ugo Dre on Twitter, and Lagos. Thank you. In a few minutes, we'll be back for Grapevine 981. We'll be reviewing new songs and giving you entertainment stories.
Is this time correct?
No, it's not. It's about 2 or 3 minutes fast.
Yeah.
All right, bye. Thank you, Denike.
Oh yeah, open the door. My shawarma.
The shawarma? The shawarma downstairs?
Not downstairs.
Ah, please, oh, I'm hungry. Oh.
Now, wow.
And then it can
You know,
send me.
this, honestly, that was such an irresponsible
Okay, so-
statement
Which one?
by Mango.
He was very irresponsible. Now people are going to go about that feeling
Yeah,
some
that's
kind of way
what
about
people are
Chinese
saying.
people.
Yeah, so exactly, because you can't make that. Even if citizens and reporters and media people do that, as a government agency, you can't.
And then you are
come out and
reaffirming
speak out.
that I
Yeah,
said
said
it.
it. Your
What
PR
you
people
gonna
trying
do?
to clean up your silly
mess.
statements, and they're trying to. Yeah?
So our guest for Grapevine is
It's
here.
not coming.
He's here.
Sean, please, can you my laptop? My
Our guest for
laptop.
Grapevine is here. I put in the story of Davido and the woman.
Nice.
Okay,
Thank
good,
you.
good, good.
The woman. Have you seen the story?
mother.
Oh man.
Let me tell you, because there are 2 videos and I don't think you watched it.
Okay.
So there was a guy apparently a few days ago that posted a video of himself at the airport, and he apparently had seen the video. He also promotes somebody, but he's a journalist. He saw the video, wanted to take a picture. The video pushed him on the chest, something like that. So an assault, and then. Few days after, his mom posted a video on Instagram to say, I am Kiniko Praise, I am a worship singer, I am this one, that one. Davido, who do you think you have to embarrass my son like that? I will never forgive you. This one, that one, I am a something
People
something
that
other
want cheap
Oyedepo. This one,
No,
that
but
one.
even if she
Learn
wanted cheap
from-
publicity,
Learn from
It's a
Wizkid,
conversation
learn from Kiss Daniel, so basically
How old is the son?
maybe
Young
some
man.
28 or 29-year-old man.
But this is the thing. As a public person, somebody in the public eye, you can't just assault somebody.
No,
because
you
No, of course you
can't.
can't.
But he has
Submitted
spoken
that
for
right
himself.
already.
No, yes,
That's one.
ready.
2, this is somebody who has been in the business, it would seem, the lady who claimed that she's a
Yes,
what's called singer.
yes.
And she might have had some level, at least,
Of
of that
influence.
kind of publicity and being
What's
in the
her
public
name?
eye. We
No,
don't
but-
know.
Kiniko Praise.
We-
No, but that's why I even asked for her son's age. Was he 5? Is he 5?
He's
That
not
she's
5,
five.
but
10 years old.
whatever Davido did, he was wrong.
Yeah, but she didn't have to come. Me, I just think that.
So
All
this
of
is
them
how we're
mix
going to have
and
this
join.
conversation.
Yes,
really.
so honestly-
Second thing is the story you sent to me, Ayo, about
Did
Mike
you see it?
Tyson.
Yeah.
It's not in all the major trusted papers.
Careful, sorry.
Careful, Mazino. Do you want to switch?
Yes.
It's
They're all-
not in
but
the.
they're all like this.
They're all like
Yes,
that.
they are. It's not in any of the trusted kidney. And I also want, hey, thank God. I also wanted to mention, should we talk about the Netflix story? Because obviously
Yes.
it's also PR, you
Yes.
know, right?
But it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. That's
it's a
why.
culture now. Everybody's Netflixing and chilling. Did we
Okay.
need them to come and introduce
It's almost like
themselves?
Google.
We're already Netflixing.
Exactly.
We need any
Okay
introduction.
then the Mike Tyson story, I didn't put it in because I didn't get any credible
Yeah, no,
source.
no
They
problem.
also don't have any record of where he said it.
Oh,
Nobody
no
has
problem.
Twitter or he said it in an interview, so it doesn't have. Okay. All right.
All right.
Oh my days, we have been live.
Oh,
Thank
really?
you, Sheon.
I'm sorry.
But we didn't see anything controversial.
Well, we might have, going by the way I've been going all week.
I'm still on there.